Welcome everyone to another episode of Leadership from the Heart. Today I have with us Kat and Richard. Kat's back for a second time. This is Richard's first time. Welcome to the show, Richard.
Woo woo. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Kat, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing good.
Excellent, excellent. We talked about this last time we were on the podcast. We talked about Richard like towards the end. We were like, damn, we got to get Richard on the show. And then Richard's on the show. So that just shows how, when you say something with your words and you mean it, that it could happen, right? And so very excited to have both of you here today because I feel like the conversation, like we talked about earlier, can go anywhere. And I think that all three of us are really good with that and about that. So I'm pretty excited about this episode. We have really no agenda other than to collaborate and talk, which is so dope to me. Like it's really my vibe. And so I really want to start off with what's new with you guys, because I know you guys have like some new stuff going on and I'm really excited to hear about it. So we'll start with you, Kat. What do you have going on?
I am heavily leaning into teaching breathwork and meditation and just getting these modalities out into the world. I think last time I was on here, I was still teaching Pilates, which I was teaching for 10 years, and I've closed that door. It's still like will always have a big part in my heart, but I'm ready to help the world slow down. So that's what I'm kind of focusing on right now.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And so what made you I want to know what led to you knowing that the door was ready to close for Pilates and to step into this one.
I love group fitness. I love teaching group fitness and coaching. And my chapter as a Pilates coach helped me grow in so many ways. Like it helped me find confidence. It helped me with public speaking. It helped me just connect with people on a deeper level. And I think I just got to the point where I was feeling more exhausted than energized at the end of teaching classes. And I think it was just my body saying, okay, like it's time to try something else.
Yeah, it's interesting how we walk into something new and your vessel is like empty, right? And so it gives you a lot of energy and it's everything you needed, and then you hit a point where your vessel's too big for this now, and so you need to move on. And I think that's so cool. And a lot of us don't listen. So I think it's really cool that you listened to the call and to your body and what it was telling you to move on to something that now your vessel is empty again, and now you're going to fill it and you just keep going. I think that's beautiful. Thank you for that.
And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of resistance. I was like, no, it's fine. I'm fine. I'm just tired. Exactly. But yeah, I'm really happy to be on the other side.
Honestly, this is one of the things that, I've learned from Kat is this, and I'm going to use this word really intentionally, like an ability to listen, right? Because I don't know that it's like, it's everyone's natural state. And I don't know, maybe you can share a little bit about whether or not that was a learned skill or something that you always had, but, it's like a muscle, right? Like this practice of, kind of like taking in how your body reacts and how you feel in certain situations, picking up on the trends there. And then, honestly, that's just like step one, right? Like it's like taking that information and then doing something with it. And so it's something in the last couple of years, I feel like I've definitely learned directly from Kat. And, now I find myself, right? Like, wait a minute. Like, what am I feeling right now? What is this really? What is this actually? And then like what you do with it is, a whole other practice.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's perfect. That's a nice segue into what's new.
Yeah, and latching on to some of what Kat was saying and explaining, I spent a lot of years in my life being good at things that, I don't know if I actually wanted to do ever, like there was this, I think current that pulled me to, hey, like, you could do this in the corporate world, or you could build these kinds of relationships, or you could be in these kinds of spaces. And I think I use a lot of external validation, again, mapping back to the point that Kat was making, just go with that current, right? Go with the current of my circumstances and being validated by all these external things. And I think, over the last couple of years, I think listening to my body, right? That I knew that there was something I didn't, a part of my interest or a part of my ability that I wasn't tapping into. And, you know, not to say it's just creativity, right? Because I get opportunities to be creative, but there was this just kind of like building over time, this call to do something that meant something to me, right? And tell stories that I thought were interesting, or create things that I thought would be, you know, fun to share with a broader audience. And it actually happened in, you know, Kat and I were in Spain, and I had been mentioning to her, like, I wanted to create like this like brand, and I don't want the brand to be one thing. I want it to have a feeling, and then I can point it at whatever the hell I want to point it at, right? So like, if we want to do events, if we want to do clothes, if we want to do a podcast, right? Like, I want the ability to do that thing. And, you know, I'm someone who is very intentional about the way that I carry myself, like aesthetically. And so like it's starting with clothes, right? And so over the last couple of months, years, really, I've been like building this idea, right? This idea for a what is going to initially be a clothing brand, but ultimately be something bigger. And in, you know, the last actually couple of weeks, we started to share it, right? And share it with the world and put some stuff out there. There's a lot of like intention behind the visuals. And I mean, hopefully we get a chance to get into some of that, but really that's the thing I'm most excited about. Again, still working, right? Still on the kind of current of my life, but there's this whole new project that I'm excited about pouring into.
Yeah. And what's the project called?
It's called Ode, Oh Dear Esther. Yeah. And so the whole story behind that effectively is, you know, with that thought of wanting to be able to point it at whatever thing I wanted to point it at for that given collection or session, I wanted to create a brand that celebrated ideas or concepts or people or feelings, right? That and actually etch out space to talk about and feel those things. And so naturally for me, again, I think as I recall the conversation that you guys had about Kat talked about her mom and how she inspired her, right? Like my mom also passed from cancer. And so she was my best friend, the most important person in my life. And so naturally the first sort of collection is geared towards like honoring not even just her, right? Like I feel like her, she's this thing for me, but the essence that she carried, right? Like she had this sort of like ubiquitous nature of making people feel included. And she was like crazy productive. Like I sometimes like Kat and I will talk and we'll be like, I don't know how she had 4 sons and a husband and like worked a full-time job. Like she'd be in like, you know, the gym and we'd be doing our homework in the car and like she'd be getting it all done, you know, and like there was this really, really cool space that she held, I think, for everybody. And I wanted the collection not to be about her, but to almost be like a carrying of that thing that she always had, right? And so, Oh Dear Esther is named after her and made in the spirit of her. But as collections grow, like we'll take on other concepts and ideas and celebrate those concepts and ideas.
Naturally. That's a beautiful, yeah, right?
Is that how they do it? Is that how they kid?
Like,
Is it this one or this one? All right.
I don't know. I don't know. We're still like this.
All right. Yeah. I'm still clapping. I'm still clapping.
No, that's beautiful, man.
Thank you.
I want to know, like Kat, your thoughts on this. But I feel like we're moving towards, and I'm going to get a little woo woo, right? We're moving towards a new place, right? It feels like it's being broken into two, but I think that like, you know, what you just said, Richard, resonates so much because you talked about wanting to be creative, but we're in this corporate world, right? We're corporate America, let's call it. And so I resonate because for a long time in my leadership, and Kat, you were like the first guest that we talked about something other than just leadership and people and stuff like that, because there's so much more inside of us that wants to come out. And when we pigeonhole ourselves into one niche or one this or one that, it's for me, it felt so inauthentic because I'm like, man, there's so much more to me than just this. I don't want to talk about leadership only because like there's so much more that comes with my leadership that I'm not necessarily talking about because it's not okay to talk about because we're corporate America and we're supposed to be polished and all this bullshit. And now I'm just like, fuck it. Like, let's just talk about it. The people it resonates with are the people it'll resonate with. And if you don't resonate with it, that's okay. It's not for you, you know? And I think learning what is not for other people is cool and really owning all of who you are, all the aspects, the creativity, the silliness, the goofy, whatever. But I wanted to know, Kat, what you think about like allowing all the parts of you exist at once.
Mm.
Like, yeah, let's start there because there's a lot of thoughts happening right now.
Yes. This is a very timely question because I feel like Richard and I talk about this all the time, especially because I also have a 9 to 5. And a lot of the time people are like, wait, you have a job? Like, what do you do? Like, because I keep it so separate
Separate.
in terms of when
Yeah.
I teach and then when I'm like behind my computer being a tech girly. But it's gotten to a point where I am now like, okay, I need to figure out how to integrate both worlds because it's not sustainable. And there's like a dissonance in how I show up in both spaces.
Yes.
So I feel like, at least in terms of like the conversations Richard and I have had, we're getting to that point where it's like, okay, how can we bring both worlds and just feel authentically ourselves regardless of where we are? Like, the last thing I'll say is I feel like we're both so accommodating and making sure other people feel comfortable and like, we're making them happy and they feel good, versus now it's like, okay, well, how can we still be on top of that but also make ourselves feel whole and good and just like joyful about how we're showing up too. So yeah.
I would only add to that. It's again, Kat's spot on in that we talk about it a lot, and I think we try to support each other in those days where it's heavy corporate, tech early is the word she used, but the heavy corporate days, and trying to make sure we can find that balance. But I want to harp on a word that Kat said, like she used the word dissonance. And it's such an apt way to describe it because, and I would just add to it is that like, there is that feeling of dissonance, but it's almost like a weight. Like if, for me, at least sometimes like like you can feel that gap between, wow, like I'm muting this part of myself or I'm not accessing this part of myself. And over time, if you're not careful, that it can be, it can grow and become this other thing, right? It's almost like someone made an analogy to me one time, and they were talking about like alignment in the business space, but I always like kept it the concept like close for alignment generally is that like if you start in the same place and you have two parallel lines, right? If you're off just a little bit in the beginning, you won't really notice it, right? It'll feel normal. But like as time passes, and my hand is going off the screen on purpose here, like as time passes, right? Like you'll really get really far from being aligned with whatever this other thing is that is what you really want to be aligned with, right? And so again, I just want to flag, like there can be, back to this feeling, like your body telling you, there can be like this really loud feeling in your body that happens when that dissonance is there. And over time, I think it can actually get worse and you feel it more and more. And you look back and you're like, oh, how the hell did I get here? Right?
Yeah. There's I believe it's a verse in the Bible that talks about you have to bring forth what's within you. And if you don't, what's within you will literally kill you. Because if
Ooh.
it needs to come out, it has to come out.
Yeah.
It's your gift. And if you don't, and so that's exactly what you just mentioned. And I think that that's why we feel so tired at the end of the day, because we didn't get to play. Like we didn't get to play in our creativity. We didn't get to play within our thing, But what I'm learning is that you can, right? Like what I'm learning is that there are no fucking rules. You can do it. There are no barriers. Who said, right? Sure. You might not be, if you're in a board meeting or if you're in a meeting, yeah, you should act accordingly, right? But when you're not, be you. You know what I mean? Because that's what they
100%.
hired you for. That's what they
100%.
brought you in. That's why you're fucking there. Like, be you. That's why you're there. And if you're not being you, then who are you being?
Yeah. In a practical sense too, like as I think about teams that I've worked on or teams that I've managed directly, right? It's hard to tie things like productivity or happy or job satisfaction back to this thing that we're talking about. But I have this creeping suspicion, and Romie, you might actually have some data or like points to make on this, but I have this like creeping suspicion that creating an environment that allows people to access those little parts, or not even just access, because you can access it, but like be comfortable accessing those parts in public spaces, and not being afraid to try things and say something that might be wrong or off kilter or whatever the case may be. I think the net outcome is actually I know it's beneficial to the individual. We can't, that's not up for debate. I think the net outcome is actually beneficial for the organization, for the team.
For all. For all, right? Like, people think that like I'm good at being a leader. Sure, okay, I give myself credit. But what I'm good at is like letting people be who they are. Like somebody's like, oh, we'll be having a tough conversation or a conversation, and they're like, I don't want to get emotional. And I'm like, hey, get emotional. You're a human. It's okay to cry here. I have tissue. Like we can say, you want to say mother effort, close the door.
Let
Let's
it
say it. Be like, get it out because you have to get it out. If you don't get it out, the body keeps the score, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
and that's the biggest thing that I think, you know, I think that's a miss from old school thinking in leadership. Is just that's why I say putting the right person on the right seat of the bus means what are you good at and what do you actually like to do? Because there's a space for you here with that. And then you
Mm-hmm.
get to do the things that you're good at in your 9 to 5. And guess who's happy and goes home energized and got to play and got to do their you. And then, sure, there's always going to be some fallout of some shit we don't want to do. And those will be minimal. But like, let's look at the team. Let's see who's good at what. And let's give them those things. And then everything gets done no matter what. And it's like, it feels like magic, but it's not. You're just like
Mm-hmm.
listening and doing things, you know?
One of the things that I feel like, you know, are at play there, and again, curious both of you guys' opinions on this, is like, for me personally, and I think this is true for a lot of people, is that like when I don't feel completely comfortable, I actually notice like a degradation in the quality of my ideas and my ability to reason and all these different things, right? And so one of the things that, again, you know, tying it back to often the conversations Kat and I have, is like if we feel friction, right, or we feel like there's something missing, right, we'll like talk about it very openly, and try to confront it in a really like honest and open way, you know, and not with the aim of being more productive, or not with the aim of like just trying to reduce that feeling of, you know, I can't be my complete self, or there's some friction here, or whatever the case may be, right? Like looking at those things straight on and trying to address them in a really, really like honest way. So that way, again, we're bringing our whole selves to every situation, right? Because in our home, you know, we don't have that problem, right? But the second you step into a meeting and, I don't know, an executive that you had a bad interaction with is in the room, or whatever the case may be, that feeling can go away. So it's just, that's one of the things that we do to try to like address that feeling, and hopefully like let it like permeate and carry over into our sort of individual corporate lives.
Yeah. Kat, anything to add?
Yeah, you just made me think of that feeling. I think that feeling too is like, or has been a good opportunity, I can speak for myself at least, to like also kind of look into, okay, like why are these feelings being triggered? Like what is this confirming in my mind about this narrative I have about myself? Or, you know what I mean? So
100%.
there's a lot of opportunity to also kind of do the shadow work and understand triggers better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that triggers is what I'm learning about triggers. I study Kabbalah, and what I'm learning about triggers is that it's just proof that there's something, right? What that is for you to explore and go as far as you want to down that rabbit hole. And but it's just showing you there's something. You don't have to react to it. You could just be like, ooh, oh, that, ah, shit. They're okay. All right. Not now, but maybe later we'll explore that. Because, people just automatically think that the trigger is a response, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not necessary to respond. I think that's the book the pause is everything is like the next book that I have, just because there's this secret space in that, oh, I'm triggered. And if I could just hit the pause button and not allow the body to just do what it always does. Now
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on autopilot. I'm controlling it. I'm controlling my mind. I'm controlling my body. And then we can explore whatever that means. But yeah, I think I tell my team we can always talk about anything. Like there's nothing off the table, man. Like I don't care what it is. But if there's a video that I showed my guys, and it's this whole glass of water, and if you hold a glass of water for a minute, it's not heavy. Like to your point with the graph, right? But if you
Mm-hmm.
hold it for an hour, you're getting weaker. Like you can just put the glass down and just say, like I let my team, I love it because I let my team like, hey, Romie, you're wrong here. And I really don't like the way you just spoke to me. And like, just fucking say it. Like, because what else are we doing? Like, what else
Yeah.
are we doing? Just say the feelings, just say the things so that we can move on from it. Because when you carry it, it just grows. And conflict resolution, I think that's probably one of my strengths because as soon
Mm.
as I feel something as an empath, I'm fucking always looking for like signals. And I'm trying
Yeah.
not to, but as an empath, I'm just like, oh, something feels off. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
At the first, they were like, another therapy session. But now it's happening without me even being. I walk into it and I'm like, this looks like a therapy. Yeah, and they bring everyone to the table who's involved,
Love
and we just
that.
talk about it, right?
Love
Because
that.
what else are we doing? And it looks like
Yeah.
we're always huddling and talking at work, but like our shit's on point. But it's because we get to be ourselves, because I wouldn't create an environment where I couldn't be myself. That
Mhm.
sucks.
There's a popular, actually, I think he got his, like, he studied neuroscience, and he talks about, and it's actually funny, it's become like a method that Kat and I use or like remind each other of. But somebody asked him a question about being on stage, right? That he's been a professor for a really, really long time. He's now touring, and somebody asked him a question about like if he still has nerves. And he said something that really stuck with me, and I shared it with Kat, and we kind of remind each other of that, is that it's like at the end of the day, it's all energy. And you get to choose, right? You get to choose what that energy represents to you. And he said, in reality, studies at this point have proven that the energy of excitement isn't actually very different than the energy that's circling when you're nervous, right? There's just like a framing there, right? And so to your point about, I wanted to bring it back to your book that I cannot wait to read, by the way, about pausing. Like, and this is one thing, again, I always give credit to Kat for, is feels like such a, like that idea of pausing. It feels like such, like, yeah, obviously, right? Like take a second, but it is this like catch all tool that can allow for you create a little bit of distance from that feeling. You also said something where you're like, you're on autopilot, right? Like I know for me, for a better part of my life, and not that I'm done with any work or anything like that, but for a better part of my life, there was no distance between that reaction and that feeling and what I believed was true. You know what I mean? And I think the thing that allows for that distance is the pause, right? It is that, like, well, wait a minute, let me just take a second. And like, and for me, what happens in those moments, and we're going like deeper and deeper into this thing. So like, if we want to change the topic, we can. But like, for me, the thing that allowed for me to more frequently create that distance was this like internal conversation of, okay, well, like what's actually going on? And Kat alluded to this. What do I actually feel? Is this just framing from what I believe to be true? Is this triggering for some other past experience or whatever the case may be? And then what happens again for me, and I've tried to explain this and put it into words, it's almost like I can look at the thing as opposed to it like being completely around me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I can look at it as this thing that's happening like separate from me. And in that instant, it's like I get to make a decision, right? And I get to choose what it represents for me and how I carry on, not even just in that moment, the rest of my day, right? These things permeate. We know that, right? So yeah, I just, again, kudos to everybody on this call, Kat, for helping me learn these things and practice and being patient with me while I'm having those moments. But also kudos to you, Romie, because again, like whether you recognize it or not, I think as this journey started for me, right, we have some mutual friends. It is in those friendships, it is in my relationships, and it's in meeting people like you. We had, dinner one night, right? And we got a chance to talk about some of these things, right? Like it was in those moments, or we were in the back of our friend's home at a party and we got into some of this stuff, and all of those little nuggets, I think, have helped me develop this perspective. So again, the punchline here being kudos to everybody on this call and in our extended network.
Out. Kat, you're the professional here. So how would one first become aware that they are on autopilot, and then
Ooh.
take us through like how you learned it?
I think autopilot can come up in so many different ways. I think it can feel like you go through a whole day and you haven't eaten a meal. It could feel like you did something, but you forgot doing it. Like I've put something in the fridge that belongs in a cupboard. Keys in the fridge. It can feel like a whole lot of things. Being on your phone and you respond to somebody talking to you, but you don't even know what you responded saying. And I think the way that I started to learn how to kind of counteract that is just pausing. Like you said, like taking a moment to really bring awareness into what you're doing. Because autopilot is also just kind of trying to help us survive. Like it's all just like habits that we've built, patterns that we've built. And I think, I forget who said this, but somebody said that we live like 50 to 60% on autopilot, like just like patterns that keep us alive and, you know, help us get from one thing to the next. And so I think just really implementing pausing, even if it's for 3 minutes, like sitting at your desk, can you stand up and go outside for 3 minutes? Like break that pattern. As you're cooking, can you really like feel your hands as you're cooking? Can you smell the ingredients you're using? You know, like, can you do something differently than you normally would? Maybe take a different route to the grocery store. There's so many different ways, but again, it just all starts with pausing and awareness, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I listened to this guy named Derek Grant, DG Mindset, and he talks about that often. Like, you got to like interrupt your pattern. You have to intentionally interrupt your pattern for the sake of interrupting your pattern so that you are, again, just it sounds like you're in control, but you're not. What's actually in control are your patterns. And so when you disrupt the pattern, you're actually, that's when you take control back. And it's not control in the way that we know control. It's almost like, no, I'm the captain of this ship. Like I can tell myself what to think. I can tell myself what to do, you know? I remember the first time I caught my trigger was in a seminar for work, and this lady, she was different. You know, when they bring in those special people that you're like, oh no, you didn't, you're, I want to do what you do because you're just doing it different.
Yeah.
And she brought up the fact to notice what happens in your body. And I remember, and she's like, so when you get nervous or when you get this or when somebody pisses you off, like what happens? And I was just like, well, like a lot. Warm, right? The heat comes from the bottom. My hands start to get this. And she's like, and everybody was answering. And she's like, okay, perfect. So now you know, you're aware of what your body does. So the next time your body starts to do that, you already know it's just, so that's what helped me catch the pause, right? That's what, oh shit, it's happening. Like, and I was like, oh, okay, right here, stop, right here, right here. Let's just see. And I was just like, wow, what a concept that, like you, Richard, it was so automatic for me. Like, and that's when we came up with like, you pissed me off because it was so automatic that we forgot that we actually have agency over our own mind and body. And obviously I'll never forget that lesson because I was just like, oh, so we do have a choice. We do have control necessarily. So, and I think that that's where we're moving towards, is just where people can just pause and identify what's happening and talk about it.
Can I ask a question, Romie? You're the podcast host, but I just it's related to this. I promise.
Oh,
We're going to use this as a therapy session because this is an active thing that I feel like I'm managing. I'm taking an opportunity. So I've started this journey and trying to be more intentional, right? And I think so the viewers and the listeners can get value out of this. I'll like take myself out of it for a second. As you start that journey and you start trying to be more intentional, how do you manage the impact that it can have on your life if like so much of your life has developed from or is ingrained in being that way already, right? Because I started this conversation with saying, and I'm sorry I'm bringing it back to myself again, but if you get external validation, right? So let's just tie it down, right? Your job. you've succeeded from being a very particular way, right? And taking these things to heart, but then actually after taking it to heart, taking it to the keyboard and then getting some stuff done for 3 or 4 hours, independent of how it impacted you or those around you or what is actually important to you in your life, right? And so I think what can happen over time is like now, since when you start that journey, not that there's a misalignment, but like I'm in those moments where I'm like, okay, I feel that. And I think the old me would have taken that to heart, been upset, sat here, got some work done, but then like harbored something for that person or this situation or that. And it's a split right now. I'll be transparent. Sometimes I still do that, but there are other times where I'm like, you know what? Like the right thing for me to do is to make a nice meal for Kat and I and have a glass of wine and, play some music that we love. Right. Even though maybe there's work to be done or whatever the case may be and not allow it to carry over. So I guess I'll get to the point. The question I have is, right, like, how do you manage when those two things aren't necessarily in alignment, right? Like where you've got some external validation and your life is kind of ingrained in you being a certain way, but then as you start to sort of heal and be intentional, right, you feel that there's these opportunities in your life to maybe pull back.
Yeah. Beautiful question. I think I'm going to answer it in two parts. So, when I believe that when something comes up for you is time, it is time, right? And it is an invitation, is what I'm saying. And so I believe I've been successful because of the way I was, right? Because I was the people pleaser, because I made everybody feel good, because I did all these things. Everyone around me, oh my God, Romie, this. Yeah, you like me because I make you feel good. You're welcome. Like, but it's emptying me, right? Like
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
not full.
Yeah.
And so when I came face to face with this in this analogy, I know it helped me become successful, but it's no longer serving me. And so once I saw that, and a lot of resistance, a lot of resistance, like, but this is how they know me. They're not going to like me anymore. They're not going to this. Who am I actually? All the things. And then I had to like trust, I had to like let my ego know it was okay to die and allow this new person to come forth. And if it means that I lose everything and everyone, I do not lose myself ever again. And that's a promise I made to myself. And I will never sacrifice myself for anyone else because I have to be honest, Richard, I didn't know who I was. Did not know. And I felt so scared to be alone because everything in my world was external. My marriage, my this, everything was outside. And so I prayed a prayer and God answered in ways that I didn't want. However, I understand that it was that he needed me to get to a point where it was just me and him. Just me and him. And I was like, okay, all right. And now I have this stupid confidence, I call it like ignorance, that like want me or not want, I don't even care because I want me. Like
Yeah.
I want me, right? I want me around. I like this version. And so I started just asking, like, do I even like this? Do I like, I don't know if I actually like that. And then I
Yeah.
would just toss it away, right? And so I know that it's a broad answer, but it correlates into
Yeah.
what we just talked about. And so when it comes up, when somebody pisses me off at work, because it still happens, obviously, all the time. I study this Kabbalah that tells you that it's time, right? It's God's way of saying like, hey, we can look at this now because you've graduated everything else. It's such a beautiful reframe. You've graduated everything else. Here's the next curriculum. Got it. So now when it comes up, instead of saying like, oh no, I don't want that, or oh no, I'm just like, it teaches you to say, give me more. And when you say give me more, something changes immediately because now you're saying like, instead of saying like pushing it away, now you're inviting it in. And once you invite it in,
Yeah. Yeah.
the weight is
I love that.
gone. The weight is gone. The ease to move through it because you're not in opposition anymore. Now you're like, yeah, actually, you know what? Piss me off some more because my vessel is growing to accept it, and I think that the vessel piece for me was a click because of the emptiness and full and empty. And that's just the part, that's just life. We were taught to stay full all the time. And when you felt empty, something was wrong.
Something was off. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I
of
love that.
course. Yeah, of course. And it comes to like, somebody told me once, like, everybody wants to be at the top of the mountain. And of course, the top of the mountain has the best view. And they're like, but there's another mountain to climb. And to get there, where do you have to go? And you're like, damn, I got to go down the mountain and back
All the
up.
way down.
Next one. All the way down and all the way. I'm like, so we're supposed to like the climb, huh?
Yeah.
And it's,
Literally.
bro, it's the opposite of what we've been taught our whole life.
I think for me is that like, again, and I do, Kat, I would love to hear your perspective as well, but like, it just, now that I'm taking your analogy, like on my way down that mountain, or at least trying to be, I look back and I'm like, wow, like it was false ambition. It was ambition fueled by something outside of the thing that I actually want to be fueling my life, right? And it's not even hatred, but it was external validation. It was fear. It was all these things. And so, yeah, that's a constant battle. Like that, again, I share with Kat, and it was valuable to get your perspective.
Could you accept the version of Richard that needed that at the time? Could you instead like bow in reverence to that Richard?
Yeah. It's a question I haven't been asked. So truly, we're doing this real time. This is live. I don't know, and hopefully we get a chance to have this conversation, either in person or on the podcast again. But to date, no, it's not that I look back and despise who I was. It's not that I, am ashamed of it in any way, because it's afforded me so many beautiful experiences and meeting so many amazing people and learning so many interesting things. But I have not sat with what the motivations were for that individual and accepted it fully. I have not done that work.
You're on your way though.
Yeah,
clearly, right? Because
trying.
you're asking the questions, you're acknowledging things that otherwise you wouldn't,
Yeah. No, and I appreciate that question a lot, Romie. Seriously, I'll give it some thought and come back to you next time with hopefully progress, but if nothing else, a clear answer.
We love progress.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
For sure. Somebody told me that we were at a retreat and she said, I bow in reverence to the little girl that survived. And at first I was like you, Richard. I was just like, yeah, okay, like fine. And then I realized the other day I was downstairs and I was like thinking about something, and I was like 13 years old, and I was just like, damn, what a dumbass thing to do at 13. And I was like, and then in the same breath, it's like, but you didn't know any better. You knew what you knew, and you did what you had to survive. And in that moment, I was like, this is what she's talking about. This is what she's talking about. This is the moment that, all right, girl, like I see you. Thank you. Thank you for helping us survive. Thank you for being whoever you had to be, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. Thank you for getting us here. Because if I wasn't here, I wouldn't be able to reflect on that, and that was a very special moment. Just to give you some more. Please, Kat, come on. Give us your thoughts.
I don't know. I have so many.
Tell them all.
I don't know. I feel like we've been just talking about basically how to like feel whole again, it sounds like, and not relying on external things for that, which I think is big. There's this like teaching, I think it's in Buddhism, and it's about like everything being basically like honey on a razor blade. So like things that seem really sweet as quickly as they can satisfy us and kind of like feed this thirst or craving, they can also harm us just as quickly. I hope I did a good job at explaining that. I'm still trying to like conceptualize it in my mind. But I think it's the same. It's like, I don't know if you guys have felt this way, but it's like we keep searching at like, oh, like this new job will make me happy, or like I just need to get a new boss, or like I just need to start my own project, or I just need to be my own boss, or I just need to, you know what I mean? Versus like you said, Romie, to your point, it's like, can I just be happy being me? And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's always over there and it's never here, then you're always going to be looking over there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, I mean, we've chased it. I've chased it. I too, right? Same question, like have this, move to Vegas, have this house. And I'm just like, why did I do all, like, what was I looking for? But I was just like, okay, well, we are here. like we
Yeah.
did it. Congratulations, Does it mean anything? And I think it's the saddest point when you reach the saddest and the happiest when you get the goal and you realize this isn't
Mm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't it.
I do feel like those moments can be, though, like just the most anchored teaching moments, right? Like I remember moments in my life where I got the job that was like my dream job, right? Like I worked at a place and had a position and was doing all these, supposedly going to be doing all these really, really fun, amazing things. And I was doing them and I had it. And I can honestly and truly say that not that something was missing from the job, because the job was the job, right? That there was something else that I needed. And it's this work that we're talking about, right? It is this perspective that we're talking about, that like you can have all the money, you can have the job, you can have the whatever, the influence, all those things, but like if you're not bringing, to call Kat's point, your whole self, right? Then, none of those things, none of those external, considerations or details are really going to make that much of a difference. So, and for me, the question that I keep coming back to is this like concept of what is honest and true ambition then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because so much of, at least the people that I know that are like materially successful and materially productive, their ambition, I'm not saying it like this is 100%, but like a lot of their ambition comes from this place of fear. This come from this place of like, well, like I can't go back to this, or I have to live up to that, or whatever the case may be. And so I'm in this place these days where I'm asking myself, and I'm now I guess asking you guys, what is like honest or healed ambition? Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? Does it exist, or does it look a little different? And if it does, how is it different to you guys?
Kat, you want to take this one first?
Yeah, I feel like we always talk about being connected in like a different dimension somehow, some way. And I feel like you just spoke to exactly what I was thinking about too. It's like, okay, so once we do, connect to our true selves and start living authentically, like what does it mean as, because I feel like a byproduct of that is you start attracting opportunities that feel really good and align with what you want, and then it's like, ooh, I want more, and it's like, oh, okay, like what can I do next? And I feel like Richard and I are really good, by the way, calling him Richard, I'm always like babe, babe,
It's
babe.
weird. It's weird. It's weird. I was gonna wait till after the cameras were off. It's weird. It's.
You can call him babe here.
I think I let a babe slip. It's fine. It's fine.
I feel like we're really intentional because we're at a point where we're starting to gain some traction in the ways that we want to show up, and the things that we want to do and the way we want to contribute to the world. But I think we do a pretty good job at this. We'll like take a moment and be like, wait, like let's just like and like look at where we are right now. Like this is amazing in itself. And just like taking those little moments to remember where you are right now, because it'll be gone at some point.
100%. These are the good days, right? These are the good moments right
Mm-hmm.
there, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is like once you're like what it's exactly what Kat just said. Once you get to a place where you like yourself and you're satisfied, and I've never been satisfied ever in my life. I am wholly satisfied. And I could say, obviously, I still desire things for sure, but it doesn't come from a place of needing external validation. Like, I really don't give a fuck what anybody thinks anymore, Um, do I want that? What kind of life do I want? Right. And then, you do attract, like when they say it just comes to you, you don't have to you do have to take action naturally, right? But what we have to do now to, let's take a step back. What we had to do before to climb the ladder, you no longer have to do. The being paid to exist is real. Like, it is a reality. And all you have to do is say, all right, I think I want that thing now. And then waves start to just show up. But it's not because you want to show off the watch or the car or the thing. It's because you like it. Do you like it? If you like it, go fucking get it. Who cares what anybody thinks, you know? And I think that that's such a different concept. And that is spirituality. You know what I mean? Like, it's not separate. It's not this or that. You don't have to be broke to be spiritual. As a matter of fact, the most spiritual thing you could do is be rich, because when you're rich, guess what you get to do? Help humanity in whatever way you want to help. And that is our job. Like, that is our role in this world, is to just help each other out, walk each other home. But you can't do that if you're like barely making it for yourself, because you're in survival. And when you're in survival, it's a different mindset.
The journey from survival to what do I want, what do I want for myself? I think, again, trying to mask myself here from this perspective, but no, but in all honesty, like, that journey, I think, requires work that isn't always easy. What I mean by that is that, like, the distance between survival and I want this is built into that journey, is confronting, right, assumptions, is exposing yourself in a way that you haven't had to. It's risking rejection in a way that you've learned to avoid risking it. Right? It is all these things that, like, rhythms that you've built and gotten good at building, for better or worse, right? Like, I think you've convinced yourself that it's great, for better or worse. And so, like, you're almost like having to reverse your rhythm. Again, I'm saying this in real time, so I, like, if it's coming out funky, I apologize. But you almost have to, like, reverse that rhythm, and that's hard. It's hard. It feels like, oh, gosh, okay, that. And, if that sound means anything, right? And so I think that's why we can sometimes avoid that journey from, survival to what do I really want for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to challenge you. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
So it's hard if you want it to be hard. I constantly ask, let's just let this one be less painful. I'm willing to look, and I don't want to look away anymore. And I just need this one. From time to time, I'm just like, bring it, bro. Like, I got it. Like, if I have the capacity, I look at it,
Yeah.
hold it, and I acknowledge. And sometimes I just say, like, I don't have it in me today. I know we have to look at this, but, like, could we make it easy? And not one time have I asked, has it not been easier for me? Right? Just exactly what I need it to be able to say, okay, we can move on now, right? And it is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I fuck, man. Like, it is the hardest thing. I want to get emotional, but I don't want to get emotional. And it's the most free, and you know it, Richard. Like, you know it. Like, you know where you have to go. You know where you have to go. You know what it is. At least you have an idea, right? And it is the scariest thing you'll do, but it's just a decision. The scary part is right now. Once you decide, it's no longer scary. It's just a decision. It's just what we've built up, what we've made it, this monster, right? If you can make that monster this big. It's just what you make it. Your thinking is what makes it so.
Yeah.
Because life is just happening right here. It's just right here. And so in Kabbalah, they teach that it's just you and God in this whole world. Everyone else is an illusion. And I said, God damn, if that's true, then that means I've created all this for one purpose, for my evolution. So if this hurts me right now, why did I leave it here? I left it here so I can learn this lesson, so I can move on, right? To the next graduate. Let's just keep graduating. I just want to graduate every day.
Yeah.
So that's
I
You know, I want to
appreciate that
challenge your
challenge, by the
thinking.
way. No, I appreciate that challenge. I genuinely do. Kat and I always laugh, Babe and I always laugh that, you know, like, I feel like Kat's really good at like reading something or listening to something and then being like, huh, I'm going to implement that into my life, you know? And then like she starts doing it, right? And I'm like, wow. And like me, like, I gotta feel that shit, bro. I gotta like, I want the pain. I want the fucking pain. I want you.
Because you think you deserve it. Because there's a
Truly,
part
no,
of
that's why I'm bringing it up. Like, that's why I appreciate the challenge. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what that is, but like, that's how it manifests itself. Like, you know, like I don't just accept the lesson. I need to feel the lesson, you know, for better or worse. And so, so again, I appreciate that challenge.
No, no doubt, dude. Like it's I had the same thing. Like I had to ask myself like why would I want to be, you know, I had this crush and I was just like and like she's not into it and okay. But why would I want to be in that if she's not into it? What
Right.
part of me thinks that this has to be hard? What part of me thinks that I have to chase? What part of me thinks I have to convince her? What part of me is here that doesn't think I deserve all the best fucking things in the world? And I had to go there and like that shit's painful because there's a little girl inside of me that doesn't think I deserve love wholeheartedly. Let's confront that. Like, okay, well, where is she and why does she feel that way? And then you go down that when you're ready. And then
Yeah.
you uncover that and you're like, oh. And then you start to ask yourself, well, what kind of love do you want? And then I started writing that out and I was just like, yeah, actually, all right, we're going to move in that direction now then. And it was like just a split decision. And I've never looked back because I'm like, why? What? Why? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why are we punishing ourselves? You know? No, this was amazing, guys. I want to hear any last thoughts you guys have for the audience. I think we need a part two. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
ready
think
for
that
another.
before. We'll figure it out, right? This could be a whole series because this is real. Like, this is real. This is real, you know? So, if there was anything to leave with the audience, what would you guys leave? We'll start with you, Kat.
I'm
You
gonna
can
go
kick it
with
to Richard if you want.
based off what you just said. I'm just gonna go with it doesn't have to be hard.
Be hard. That's a choice.
Yeah, similar in that vein. Remind yourself every day that you get to choose, right? That you get to choose what your experience feels like, what it actually is, not even just feels like, right? So just remind yourself of that.
Yeah.
Also,
No
make
doubt.
it fun.
Make it
I feel
fun.
like we forget. It's so there's some days where I'm like so serious, and I'm like, it's not that serious. Like,
Yeah.
It's not even supposed to be.
Yeah.
I was telling my friends I bought a harmonica, and they're like, "What the fuck,
I
Romeo?"
love that.
I bought a harmonica, guys. I heard it in a song. I liked it. I bought it. And they're like, "Are you good?" I was like, "It doesn't even matter if I'm good.
Yeah.
What
Doesn't
matters is that
matter.
I play because I feel like playing."
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you got
That's
a
it.
calling.
Stop with the, oh, I got to be a professional. That's what we were taught. I got to be a professional. I got to learn. I got to be good. No, I just want to fucking play. How about that?
I love that. I love that. I love that.
I love you guys. Thank you so
Love you
much
too.
for
This
this.
was
This
great.
was so
We love
nourishing.
This is a lot of fun.
you.
Yeah,
It really
absolutely.
was. Thank you for
We'll
having
do it again.
us.
We're definitely, I think we should just set it up for next month. Like, let's just,
Let's do it.
okay. Let's just do it. Perfect.
Okay, yay.
Thank you guys.
Yay.
We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye,
everyone. That
babe.
ends our episode of Leadership from the Heart. Please like and share and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Wanna hear you go.